Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Game Awards. Now, we have a big show, so let's get right into it.
I'm working for an hourly wage. I went to high school, didn't do great.
Oh, what a card.
Hi, Billy Mays here with Zorbies.
I'm gonna stick to the script, and here are the nominees.
Need a car in a minute. Gotta go for a ride.
Whoever wins, Jeff has given me the okay to say, take as long as you want to, thank everyone who's ever meant anything in your life, and the award goes to Neil Newbon.
I just wanted to say, I know I don't have much time. Sorry, I've got to wrap it up, apparently.
Neil, great speech and short, so thank you.
A few moments later.
See you next year at our... Good night.
Imagine working on a project that's under wraps for 6 years and you're ready to show it off to the world. The trailer goes live, people are excited, and the hype is building up. The game releases and everyone at the studio did what they could, but now it's in your hands. Surprisingly, people love it. It's a slam dunk, you can't go anywhere without hearing about it, and it's become so famous that it's even getting labeled as genre defining. I'm sure that's how some, if not all, of the people at Larian Studios felt when developing what many would consider the masterpiece known as Baldur's Gate 3. I'm sure this is how many of the studios nominated felt for something that should be such a grand event for them, a celebration of games for the entire industry. Baldur's Gate 3 swept up most of the competition this year as somewhat of a dark horse, considering this is a classic role-playing game where many big studios have just given up on trying to recreate the magic that is a CRPG in favor of simpler games. Even so far as for some developers to be shaking in their boots at the mention of this game, saying silly things like, "Don't expect this level of quality all the time," as if we shouldn't be expecting high quality stuff for our money. Crazy, I know, right? Now, to be fair to that argument, some people chimed in and said you can't expect this caliber of game from a much smaller studio. For context, Larian themselves made this game with the help of 450 people, which is huge, but we're not here to talk about the specifics of BG3 today. Instead, I'd rather shift the focus to a little old event known as the Game Awards. Now picture a studio that has propelled themselves from just a CRPG studio to one that has managed to capture the mainstream audience, winning most awards at this year's Game Awards, including Game of the Year. The best part, we don't get to hear about some of the trials or tribulations the studio faced during development. A funny anecdote from the team? Nah, instead we're told in rushed breaths that they don't have enough time to even thank their coworkers or even family.
I just wanted to say, I know I don't have much time.
The Game Awards are structured with a pre-show, which is around half an hour, and the main event, which this year was about 3 hours. There are 31 categories in the show as a whole. Some were given out during the pre-show, and the majority at the main event, obviously. Each category is presented to us with a host that reads off the nominees. For the, I'm doing air quotes here by the way, for the quote-unquote important awards, we are shown snippets of the game followed by who won. This is pretty standard at most award shows in terms of reading off the names, and each award is given about the same level of respect. At the Game Awards, on the other hand, if it's considered a quote-unquote important award by the people running the event, you can tell because there's more effort put into showing off those games, and usually the winners will get to walk up on the stage, receive the award, and then give a speech that is heavily timed and encouraged to finish quickly. We started the night with the best family game and ended with the Game of the Year naturally, as this is the big winner. So far pretty standard, but my gripe comes from the imbalance of award versus ad time. There are a ton of advertisements shoved in our faces between almost each and every award, as if the recognition is less important than filling Jeff's pockets, which is exactly how it looks.
There are lots more awards to come, but now it's time to look ahead to what you'll be playing next. Let's get to those world premieres.
But before you can think too hard on that, it's time for another 2 world premieres.
Let's get to those world premieres.
At the start of the main event, Jeff Keighley, the host, gives a speech about how impactful games can be and how this medium of entertainment is different from the others. A great speech, doesn't drag on too long, but does a good job of trying to highlight what the Game Awards should be doing. I say it should be because while this is the message Jeff speaks and even advertises on things such as his LinkedIn page, his show does anything but this. I'm sure most of us can remember graduating from high school, attending an award ceremony for a sibling, relative, friend, or maybe you're the one receiving said award. All of those things and more are part of our culture to celebrate the effort gone to achieve something. An award is given to show recognition towards either an individual or a group's efforts to do something special. At an event titled the Game Awards, you would expect there to be a huge emphasis on the awards portion of the show, highlighting developers and teams that may not normally get the chance to shine. A way to tell these people that the work they put in wasn't for nothing. We see and appreciate the work you've done. While I'm not saying studios and teams live or die by receiving these awards, it's a great time to celebrate the awesome stuff that people have made each year, and that part of the award is awesome. The problem is that these people don't really get highlighted, and it's treated instead as the equivalent of visiting the doctor's office and getting a lollipop for a checkup. I'd like to consider myself somebody that's probably more passionate about games than the average person. I enjoy reading news, interviews, watching studio tours of different teams, and retrospectives on games that I like or just have received a ton of notoriety for their efforts. For me, this is interesting and a cool way to get to know more about the faces behind projects I love. Now, I know not everybody does this or cares, so for the average person, this isn't interesting to them. I was talking to my brother about the show, and he didn't really know many of the devs in the crowd or presenters, as it's not something he personally pays attention to. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Different people like different things, but that's exactly where the Game Awards suffer in my opinion. The show isn't about showing us the faces behind projects we love, their efforts, maybe something interesting about the studio or game we didn't know before. Rather, it's focused on rushing through these awards as quickly as possible to cram in the advertisements for upcoming games that we may or may not care about.
I have such great memories of last year, Mr. Pacino, forgetting to thank my wife. Mother. All right, I get it. I'm not gonna stand up here making long speeches. I'm gonna stick to the script.
Custom songs to extend the story. Here tonight, later, Poets of the Soulless, Old Gods of Asgard, Poe, This Road, every songmaker coming through Fright Music for our chapter songs. Thank you. We wanted to push things further, to do something new, and it's always a risk. For you to embrace it and understand it means so much. I'll treasure this always. Thank you.
I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 or Alan Wake 2, but many people did and had nothing but great things to say about these games, so it would have been nice to hear from the teams that actually made them. This was a golden opportunity to see more of the names behind the projects and just speak a little bit about themselves and what the award means to them. Hell, Baldur's Gate 3 winning Game of the Year is impactful to the industry as a whole. It shows that while the genre might be considered niche to many, if you make a damn good game, people will notice. Obviously, CRPGs are not as niche as maybe some other categories, but the point still stands. If they can do it, so can another team, another developer with a dream that they believe in. Just based on the emotional speeches they were able to give during their short amount of time on stage, you can tell that they cared about the game they were making and the effort paid off. It meant something to them. It should have meant something at what is arguably the biggest game show this year. They were seen, but just not heard at this show, and that annoyed me even though it's not a game I have an attachment to. Many of the winners, and even Jeff, joked about keeping the speeches short, as if even when we're not playing games, we gotta be on a treadmill showing off anything that's upcoming so the industry can make more money. As if the upcoming games have more relevance than the already released projects, as it's just a business to the people running the show and they have to keep making money. There's never time to just enjoy what came out and revel in the success hard work has brought the teams present that night. Neil Newbon was the winner of Best Performance, and he didn't even get a chance to bask in the emotions he was feeling or the applause of the night on the big stage. He spent his few moments up there trying to rush the thank yous for Larian as a whole, his family, and he did something that we don't normally get to see either in the credits or from studios as a whole. He thanks not only his family and the team at Larian, all of the fans, but he took a second to thank the writer for Asterion, which is the character he played for those who don't know. The writer's name was Stephen Rooney. It goes to show that writers, or even people just behind things we may love about a game, movie, TV show, you name it, go extremely unnoticed by the majority. Without Neil directly mentioning Stephen, I wouldn't have known who wrote him specifically. I'm going to assume the information is out there, but many studios or devs just don't go out of their way to highlight an individual's efforts to make certain things possible. Of course, these are teams working on a project. I'm not advocating one person takes all the credit for the studio's success, but showing off the people at the studio does a lot for a person. To receive credit and appreciation for things they did is the proper thing to do. It's very common for writers to just all get lumped in together, and as a fan, all you can do is assume that they worked on all of the story bits together. While I'm sure this is true for some projects, some companies have a different approach. As an example, Oblivion's Dark Brotherhood questline is highlighted as one of the best quests of that game. The writer behind that faction is Emil Pagliarulo, but the only reason we know he wrote that questline is because he came out and stated it himself. Neil's speech gets overshadowed towards the end by the blaring music.
To my agents, I will thank you later. I'm sorry, I'm going to wrap it up apparently. One thing I will say, please, if that's okay, the community has reached out to so many of us at Larian and said they were seen and they were represented by this game. When they lost hope, they felt isolated, they felt alone, and this game brought them together and gave them something to push through to help them all. And to you, I want to say thank you so much for seeing us. Appreciate it. You're not alone in this. None of us are. Thank you.
Neil, great speech and short, so thank you. There are lots more awards to come, but now it's time to look ahead to what you'll be playing next.
Thanks for not caring, Game Awards. Some of us were interested in what he had to say. It would have been nice if there was an award show to highlight developers and people working on a game where they can speak about the process and how we got there. Would be nice, right? Anyway, enjoy like 20 ads after each award because that's the structure of the show. Even when Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, the speech was only about a minute long, which is insane. Whether this was due to being rushed or because the founder was at a loss for words, I'm not sure. He did end up posting what he wanted to say on Twitter, which I will leave below for anybody interested. Some studios didn't even get a chance to go up for their own awards. Many categories were rushed and didn't even have a trophy presented. Things such as Best Action Game, Best Fighting Game, Best Music, etc. were all just thrown into a blender and spit out within the same short time frame. These categories were sped up, not given a moment to even say thank you, all in favor of showing us more upcoming games to buy. I'm sure maybe some studios weren't in attendance, that could be a possibility, but to say all the winners weren't there wasn't true, as even Baldur's Gate 3 got some awards that were just sped through. Before I say this next part, if you're a fan of certain content creators, just know I'm not trying to insult them or you, but this is how I personally feel as an average person watching the show. During the quote-unquote pre-show, I'm using air quotes here again, as honestly this wasn't any different from the main event, there was an award presented for Content Creator of the Year. Personally, I'm of the opinion that content creators don't really need an award present at something known as the Game Awards. While many of us, especially if you're watching a video like this, consume content about games we enjoy or watch stuff on YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms, might have content creators we respect and appreciate, I don't really think there's anything relevant about them being highlighted at something called the Game Awards. Yeah, these people are in the gaming space and they can help highlight projects and such, but to me, an award show such as this should be spotlighted on developer efforts and, you know, people making the games, as without them, there is no award show. I'm assuming Iron Mouse's video was pre-recorded in case she won, and if so, I'm just wondering why studios like From Software that won Best Action Game, or Capcom who was present that night and won Best Fighting Game weren't given a chance to accept the award. It's just odd that genres like those, which are big in gaming, are just kind of shoved under the rug without a moment under the spotlight. But we're gonna highlight content creators. Yay? Even the esports categories didn't have thank you videos or people accepting the awards, they were just sped through. That category is also problematic though, as it's not about esports as a whole, but just categories chosen based on popularity alone. In the category for Best Esports Event, there was League, Dota, CSGO, Valorant, and EVO. So 2 MOBAs, 2 shooters, 1 general event for all fighting games is crazy. The player category is even worse. Faker is the League of Legends GOAT, Zywo is a CSGO player, Demon1 is a Valorant player, Hydra is a Call of Duty player, and Ruler is another League player, and Imperial Hal is an Apex Legends player. So 2 League players and 4 first-person shooter players, since we're generalizing all fighting games in one category and event, might as well generalize this as all the same genre as well. There were no Dota players up, even though that's up there for big events, no fighting game players in general, even though EVO was there, and just overall these categories have zero variety. It's just the biggest name games, and they don't even get an award or a thank you at the show. I'm not saying esports needs to be the biggest deal there, but the fact that it's just treated as an afterthought, events that so many people go to, support, and play in are less important than one content creator, so none of them have thank you speeches or time dedicated to their own awards. So you might be seeing all this and wondering how much time was spent on the actual awards versus the rest of the show. I mean, it's about 3 hours and 30 minutes, so there must be a good amount of time on the awards. I wish there was. I really wish each category got the respect and time they deserve to speak about their game, performance, music, or the people around them. But instead, we're rushed through the awards and more time is dedicated to adverts. Just to put some numbers behind the show, there were 31 awards presented on December 7th. 19 of those awards were given out in passing. There was no trophy present with the speaker or somebody that went up to receive the awards. You could count 20 here because there was no award for Content Creator of the Year present, but Iron Mouse was able to give a speech, so this is a bit better than just flat out getting nothing at the actual event for 19 of these categories. To put it into perspective, I went back through the footage and counted the advertisements. For this number, I'm going to count trailers and actual company ads as one category because while yes, they were games being shown off, it kind of ties into my point about us being on a treadmill in the industry. Constantly showing new things to be excited for, never appreciating what we got. There were 79 advertisements. This number might be off by 1 or 2, but I manually checked multiple times to make sure. Most speeches that night didn't go past a minute or a minute and a half, as indicated by the Game of the Year winners, along with others such as Best Narrative. Just in case you didn't get the memo by everybody quote-unquote joking about not having enough time to speak. Did you know that 300 people worked on Armored Core 6? I'm sure most people didn't, and it would have been nice to hear from the director or somebody that worked on the game since they won an award. I wonder how many people worked on games that won or were nominated and got zero recognition. Instead, categories like Best Action Game, even something as impactful as Best Score and Music, are just shoved into a lightning round essentially, where all they get is a read-off as if we're just taking attendance. Around the halftime or so of the show, we got a concert of sorts. 2 of these performances were meant to just put spotlight on upcoming games, because we can't forget about promotional material, baby. There was also a Muppet.
Who the fuck is this guy?
The Muppets bit with Jeff lasted about 2 minutes or so. Even less time with the developers so a Muppet can tell some bad jokes. Look, I'm a corny joke enjoyer myself, so I can appreciate some shitty humor here and there, but this just felt so out of place. I can understand that during a show you want to break up the awards or have main event segments with bits to keep things fresh, but like having over half of your categories just relegated to a roll call just so you can squeeze in a bunch of world premieres, mobile game ads, and brands like Samsung showing off their gaming hub is just baffling. You can't tell me this is a show about celebrating games, much less even respecting the art form or the creators, and you do shit like this. Now I get it, if you look at it subjectively, there are categories that many people don't care about. For example, aside from fighting games, I'm not personally invested in most esports scenes. I also didn't play this year's indie game, so I didn't have a horse in that race. But to say these people don't have time to speak, or can't even make their presence known with something as simple as walking up to the stage to receive applause, is mind-blowing to me. It really felt like pick and choose which awards will get some recognition and attention, making the imbalance of importance easy to spot. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Advertisement Awards for you.
Boy, do we have a show for you?
While I'm sure many consumers don't care about this and like the format as it is because it's a place where big new games get revealed, amongst other products, it just feels like a soulless event that we tune into for just that, the reveals. The Game Awards should be a place to honor and congratulate the creators that made these special games, adventures, and experiences possible. Without the developers, there's no industry, there's no games, and there's definitely no award shows. I felt motivated to make this video because I feel like I haven't seen enough people talking about this issue, and it's a shame. I know last year's show got a lot of flack, but this one, I just feel like it's getting kind of shoved under the rug as it's whatever. But no, we should still be talking about this as it's still a problem. While I wasn't a developer there present, and am speaking from first-hand experience, I'm just speaking as a passionate fan that would like to know more about the people responsible for the amazing interactive art of video games. So, because Jeff and his show didn't say it, thank you so much for all your effort. Whether you won an award or not, I appreciate the fact that there are so many talented people in the industry that constantly surprise us with new, fun experiences. Thank you to the developers, composers, musicians, voice actors, animators, artists, writers. I'm sure I'm forgetting some categories, so I'm sorry, but thank you so much. And thank you for watching this video and giving me some of your time. If you're celebrating anything this holiday season, happy holidays and a happy new year to us all. This past week we hit 600 subscribers, so thank you to everybody that decided to subscribe. It means more than you know, and I will forever appreciate the support. Have a great rest of your day.